What up, boys? What up, boys?
What up, Johnny?
What's going on? What's cracking, boys?
Welcome back to the studio.
Oh, yeah. Home away from home.
It's been a hot week.
It has, man. It's been crazy. I as fired up as I got last week about, the whole voting thing.
you were fired
I had a
up,
good
man.
time doing it. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's a good event.
I might be back again this week. I don't know.
It's not venting. It's not venting.
No, that's a
good point.
We're trying to put it out there for people to take seriously. Venting is just something you do to your wife or
I care.
whatever.
We all care. We care.
Good
we
term.
want,
Good term.
we want to make people aware of what's going on, and
Yeah.
sometimes we all need to be convicted one way or the other. Just put it out there. I mean, if you weren't convicted by last week's podcast, you didn't listen to it, go back and check it out.
Yeah.
I was.
Especially if you're a Christian. I mean, you
Yeah.
definitely need to be checking it out.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a great segue for what we're going to talk about this week.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this topic's a little bit touchy too, but I really think that what we're going to talk about this week really impacts what we talked about last week. But I wanted to get that out there because it's so close to the voting cycle and people going out there and I know we got early voting going on in certain areas, but we hear the old term. People want to storm the gates of hell, right? We're gonna storm the gates of hell
With a water pistol.
Yeah, and I think that we need to start storming the gates of the church.
Amen.
Men, where you at? Where you at, men?
Yeah, I mean that's the whole purpose of this podcast is to address not the situations, but the subjects that people avoid.
Yeah, they don't want to talk about
It's
it.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not super easy for us, but we know that it needs to be out there. It needs to be said. These things need to be said.
Well, we need to talk about them.
Yeah.
We got to quit hiding from them, and then we got to quit making pretend they're not happening, and we got to quit playing games.
We got to stop the small talk bullshit and talk about some real things.
What is the one thing we always talk about in this podcast? It's we always ask that one question. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Yep.
For everything that we talk about, that's really what it comes back to. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
Like, you could complain and bitch and whine about whatever, but the question is what are you going to do? And, I think it's time for the men to start infiltrating the church.
It's where they belong. It's where we belong.
Well, we've given it away. We've given it. We've given the church to the women, and we've given the church to culture, and we've given the church to politics, and we've given the church to preference. It's time to take it back.
Yeah, but John football's on.
I don't look at it like we gave it to them. I look at it like we let it happen. We just sat back and went, okay.
Well, I guess you could look at it from different perspectives,
okay.
but if you step back and it's like leaving your kids sitting there. If somebody walks up and picks them up and walks away with them, you didn't let them take them, but you sure didn't stop them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah.
and
perfect.
And that's exactly what's going on. We ain't stopping nothing.
No, and that's the biggest problem, and that's why we're doing this podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we have brought the world into the church and not the church into the world.
Right. Ooh, damn.
We talk about infiltrating the world, and we need to infiltrate the church. I mean, where are we at? Like, what are we doing? You look around, and you got a bunch of dudes there that just are disconnected. They don't want to be involved. They want to do the bare minimum. And when I'm talking about bare minimum, I'm not talking about what you're doing inside your church. Guys.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
This whole fantasy that we've created in modern American church that you're a good little Christian as long as you serve in the church and you give your tithes and you go to a group and all that. I think that's a fantasy that's been created to control the masses. If I'm going to be quite blunt about
It is. It's so
give your time.
that's social. That's social bullshit. Is what that is.
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
There's more to it. It's a lot deeper.
What are you doing? I mean, and for us as men, it really starts in the four walls of your home.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about leading and guiding and directing and all this other crap, and then what do? We don't even lead, guide, and direct in our own houses.
Sit on our swords.
And then we show up on Sunday and we're half asleep and we don't want to be committed and we don't want to be connected and we don't want to read our Bibles and we don't want to go out in the world and share the gospel. We just expect everything to be handed to us on a silver platter by somebody wearing a pair of skinny jeans and Nike tennis shoes because they're part of the Nike club up there.
Here I just thought about this.
What's it, a sneaker club going on? I mean, I'm 50 years old. You're going to have to help me with this. We got a sneaker club that goes on or something?
Hey, at our age.
It's all about the kicks, John.
At
It's all
our
about the
age.
kicks.
Okay, the kicks. My bad, the kicks.
At our age, it's the New Balance.
Oh, the new, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what drives me crazy is that you said it perfectly. We've let the world infiltrate the church,
Yep.
and not the church infiltrate the world. And that is super apparent because the world is saying that a man cannot be assertive. A man cannot be, boisterous. Aggressive. He can't be any of these things. So now you look at the church and what do you see? Quiet, cute,
passive, disconnected,
people or men.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, sorry, man, it just hit me. I was like, damn, you nailed that one.
You work walking in any American church today, and the 98% of them, from the decor to the programs to the classes and everything, are geared towards women and children.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%.
Do you know that the majority of churches don't even have men's groups?
No.
They don't even have a
scary.
group for men to meet. They don't. My wife was a group's admin at one of our churches, and she was calling other churches to ask them what they were doing for their men's groups, and 90% of them didn't even have men's groups, but they had women's groups. Yeah. They had programs for kids, and they had single mothers, and they had all kinds of different things that go on within the church for women and children, but they had nothing for the men.
Yeah, aren't men supposed to be leaders? How are they not leading a group? That scares me.
Well, they don't know how.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing.
My conspiracy theory to that is because real men ask questions. You're not going to bullshit a real man.
There you go.
You say something or do something that's not biblical, they're going to ask questions.
Well, real men are dangerous.
They are.
In a good way.
They are, exactly. Like I've said it before too. I've told my wife and my kids, I'm like, you have no idea what I'm capable of and what I have done to be as calm as I am now. You guys, well, Johnny, you know me back in the day, that it took a lot for me to get to where I am today, to where I can, for the most part, calmly figure out a situation and restrain my inner.
Well, I know what
Isn't
you're
that
talking
the
about.
devil?
But I've heard in a lot of different podcasts, it said, and I'm just paraphrasing, that if you don't have the ability to be violent, your restraint is not one of you not doing it is not restraint. It's just cowardice because you're not capable of the violence.
There you go.
Well,
there you go.
So I mean, you can't say, "Well, I'm a good dude. I'm not going to do that." No, you can't, dude. You can't.
Right.
So, Ray, what you brought up is called, we use the term meek, even though it sounds weak, but it's controlled strength. Man, my throat's all jacked up.
Probably that whiskey you were drinking.
Yeah, it must have been all that whiskey. No. So, it's controlled strength. So, Ray, what you're telling your family is, I have controlled strength. I can control it.
Right.
I have it, but I got it under control.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, it's like you look at a lion. We talked about lions. This is lion's den, but you look at a lion laying there, and he's got the little cub chewing on his ears and doing whatever, and he's kind of half asleep. He's laying there. But let some other male lion roll up on that pride and see what's going to happen.
Yep.
That muscle's going to flex, and you're going to see him do some stuff you didn't think he was capable of. And I love the term. I've told my kids, I've told my wife, you touch one of mine, I'll wear your skin. And that's not a joke.
Right. Yep.
Are you capable? Are you willing to do that? And we're talking about in a physical thing, whatever. We're going on a little tangent here, but the bottom line though is when we start looking at the church, men got to be willing to have some skin in the game, man. The problem is we got too many guys that are not invested, or as I say, vested. Right? It's easy to just take a back seat when you're not vested in what's going on.
Well, they have slowly but surely over time removed our skin.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean that's a pretty good statement.
Well, that's true, but
Yeah.
to some degree we've given it to them.
Yep.
I mean, it's easier, right? How many guys do you meet and they take a back seat to their wives because they rather them do everything?
They've let it be taken off.
Yeah, they give it away. Here, hey, you want to be the boss? Cool. I can sit here and play video games and just go to work and do whatever I want. Yeah, you can.
Me.
You can do whatever you want with the kids and as long as you just leave me alone.
That's not a man.
So you took the kids so I can have free time? All right, cool. And you took me to church? Whatever.
Well, we've said
I'll watch football.
We
Cool.
said it before. The true sign of being a man is selflessness.
Yep.
Selflessness. So when all of that comes about, it's all about being selfish. Like you said, oh, mama's got the kids. Oh, mama's got that. Mama's got this. Mama's got that. I don't have to worry about nothing. That's selfish.
Well, think about it like this. This what cracks me up is we live in this culture where we don't want to offend people. We don't want people to get mad. But at the end of the day, you're more worried about how they think about you. So it's grounded in selfishness too. You're not really worried about what their feelings are. You don't really care how they think about that. You're worried about how you look and how you're going to feel when they make you feel uncomfortable about it. Rather than stand up and tell the truth, regardless of the situation. And we got a lot of guys that just walk into the church and they kind of just want to meander around and feel good about themselves because they're there. Like, you're doing God a favor. You're not doing God a favor just for showing up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We were talking about leading our house, and we were talking about being men and leading in the church and storming the church. And I think it was last podcast, we were talking about how women are more emotional and they lead with their heart, and your heart is deceitful. You know, emotions are fleeting. I kind of did a little experiment because I was wondering at my house, you know, women want their men to be emotional. Women want their men to open up to them and explain to them the way they feel about certain things and so on and so forth. So I was like, you know what? I'll do a little experiment here. Let's see how this goes. So I gave my wife a little example of the shit that I carry. And she was just like, but I'm like, well, you wanted it. You wanted to know.
You think you wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I told her, I said, you don't have to worry about it. You'll never hear this again. Now you have a little taste of the shit that I carry on a day-to-day basis so you can have peace.
Mm-hmm.
So you and the girls can be comfortable and not worry about that stuff. I worry about it and I take care of it so you don't have to. And that's the man-woman balance. We're both equal, but we carry things differently. We carry different
roles.
stuff.
Yeah. And it goes back to when Adam and Eve and God asked Adam, where are you? And he's going to ask that same question is, where were you when you were leading your family?
Yeah.
And he's not going to blame your wife. He's not going to say, oh, that's your problem. No, it's you. You're the leader. You're the you're the head. It's on you.
I was there.
Well, you want to take it a step back so the listeners maybe say when we don't want to assume that they understand the story.
Yeah, go
We're
ahead.
referring to when Adam and Eve ate partook the fruit in the garden and recognized that because of that they were naked and they hid from God in the garden. And when God came into the garden, he wasn't asking for Eve.
Nope.
He was asking for Adam. And his question is what have you done?
Yeah. That woman.
And if those words, if that question doesn't scare every man that's listening to this podcast, you're not a man. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be held accountable for our families.
Yep.
And the question's going to be asked, what have you done? You know, what happened with your kids? What happened with your wife? Why didn't you stand firm in this? Why weren't you willing to do that?
Yep.
Why were you willing to compromise this? And why did you not stand up for that? And he's going to ask you, husband, father, what have you done?
Yep.
Not, Adam tried playing the game too. He punked out too. Well, that woman you gave to me, the one you gave to me, God, I mean, she got me to eat that fruit.
Yeah.
I want to take that a little step further for the people out there who are not Christians, for the people who are not believers. Do you honestly think, when I die, I just die and I go away? Do you honestly think you're not going to lay on your deathbed and go, did I do enough? Did I raise my kids right? Was I there? Did I leave my wife enough?
Now, what's my dash?
Did I handle everything? Did I take care of everything?
Good point, Ray.
You think that shit ain't gonna run through your head?
Yeah.
Yep.
Come on now. You may not believe that you're gonna visit God and God's gonna show it to you. Fine. God.
But it's
if
there.
you don't believe and God ain't gonna show it to you, you damn sure gonna go through it.
Exactly.
While you're sitting on that deathbed, getting ready to take your last breath, you're gonna be going, "Did I do enough?
Yeah.
What did I do? Where was I?
Yep.
Christian
well
or
said,
not?"
Ray.
And there's a great stat about father leading their kids to church. It's pretty much. I think the stat that came up is like 90% when it comes to your kids. If a father's leading them to church, 90% of them are going to stay in the church. If a woman's bringing them, their mom's bringing them, is about a 20% chance that they're going to stay in the church.
Other part of it too is Ben, I'm going to tell you something, and this may not resonate or go over well with some of you, but you can lead a lamb to the slaughter too. And so you can lead, you can bring your kids to the church, but you better make damn sure that that's the right church
one.
you're bringing them to.
Amen.
And you better make sure that they're being taught the way they're supposed to be and being taught.
Good point,
and they're
John.
being told what
That's a
they're
good
supposed to be being told. And it better be in line with what God is telling us what to do, and not getting caught up in Hollywood and entertainment and how cute the pastor is and how cool he looks and you know how stylish everybody is. You better make damn sure that when you walk those kids in that church that you're not leading a lamb to the slaughter.
But how am I supposed to know, John?
Well, you better get involved.
They've got the biggest the biggest congregation. They got everything. How was I
It's
supposed to
easy
know?
for me to hide in here.
Yeah. No, how you supposed to know? You be the man of the house. You lead. You read. If you're going to take them there, read the book.
Yeah.
You know,
Why
people want to say the Bible's bullcrap.
But they don't even read
It's
it.
a history book.
Yeah, it's been proven time
They'll,
and time
they'll
again.
believe stuff that they paid thousands of dollars to go learn history on, but they're that one's not real.
Yeah.
Seriously.
It's a fairy tale.
Plato and Aristotle and all these other, you know.
I'm pissed
I
off
guess-
this podcast now.
Yeah, I know. Let's keep it going.
But even like okay, we talk about infiltrating the church.
Yeah.
Why would you ever walk your children into a church, drop them off into a nursery or into a kids
Bible
area
study or whatever. Yeah.
without even sitting in and seeing what they're about?
right.
Well, a lot of churches won't let you do that.
Well,
As
that's a
someone-
problem.
As
There's
someone
a
who's
problem.
actually
That's a
been in
problem.
Lakeside,
That's a problem, dude. You're going to tell me that I can't come in here and vet you to
Yep.
see what you're teaching my kid?
I remember.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
I remember when we were looking at churches when we first moved here, and then COVID happened and like that. One of the first things I did is I didn't go to the church by myself without the kid. With the kids, I went without the kids, and I was like, yeah, I want to check out the ministry, and they're like, you want to check? Yeah, I want to see what it's about. Like before I bring my kids in here, I want to know what it's about. And it worked out well, but I mean, it's an example of being that leader. You got to be. You got to.
So you're going to
put your
take
family
your
first.
kids to a daycare
Yeah.
that you never been into before and didn't vet. You're just going to drop your kids off with complete strangers at a daycare that you know nothing about.
It got great Google reviews.
Got Google.
And you're going to
5
entrust
stars.
them not only, you're entrusting them with their physical health,
Yeah.
but now you're dropping your kids off and entrusting them with their spiritual health.
Ooh.
And so you're talking about their eternal life,
Yep.
not just their physical one. And we don't even vet what we're doing. And that's what I mean by infiltrating the church. You need to make sure that you go in there with a mindset of, hey, I'm doing reconnaissance right now. I want to know that when I'm coming in here, it's safe.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like a Cav Scout. I'm making sure that we're getting through this and the tanks are coming behind me, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But you go in there and you just go in there blind and you just, rush the hill. That's how you take a lot of casualties. And we have a situation where, when you look at churches in a whole, most men are absent when it comes to kids in the nursery, kids kids.
That one's tearing you up, boy.
Yeah. No, it's right.
Kids church and all these
Kids
different
church,
things.
yeah.
Kids
And so
ministry.
Kids
they're
ministry.
non-existent, and then you don't even care. You don't even go back there and check out what they're doing.
Yeah.
Nah, dude.
Now you need to check it out. But I'll tell you this though, when it comes to teaching,
It's our job.
well, it is our job. But in a church, the reason I believe the reason you don't see as many men in the children ministry is because they should be in the leadership, feeding, security, the leadership. You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I totally disagree with that. But in the same token, too, if we're looking at empowering and educating and building the body of Christ, it starts with the kids.
Yes.
Oh no, we need to
Yeah.
make sure it's right. I agree 100%.
And what happens is
yeah.
a lot of these kids go into these churches, and they get fed Kool-Aid and cookies.
Oh yeah.
And it's watching videos and playing little games, and there's no substance to what they're doing.
And if there is substance, it's only partial.
Yeah, and then parents get their little colored papers and their little little whatever they do back
Glue
there,
sticks.
the little crafts, arts and crafts,
Yep.
and that's good. You need to make sure that before you bring your kid anywhere that they're teaching the word and they're teaching it the right way.
Yeah.
So there is a way.
And the only way you can do that though is you need to know the word
Exactly.
Yes.
to know
Exactly.
that they're doing what's right.
And that goes back to what John was saying. But in Ray, I've heard this said, where else would a young guy who's looking for a future wife, who loves kids, I think it's a good place for a guy to meet a girl is in kids ministry.
Yeah.
So if that's something I've heard a pastor say one time, and I was like, yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, the woman loves her, loves kids, wants to be a mom someday,
Yeah.
and follows God, that's that's someone you want to be next to, and you get to spend quality time with them too. So
Right. Yeah. Good call.
give you a
Good call.
benefit.
That in the grocery store.
Yeah.
Old Shug said it best, man. He walked his son right up to the gates of hell and dropped him off.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I was thinking that exactly
Boy,
when
old
we were
Shug,
talking about
man,
that.
I'll tell you. Well, Ken,
Yeah.
that gets me. That got me every time.
And if you remember what we talked about,
Go get
back,
his ass.
Go back and get him.
Go back and get them.
Just
Go
because
get
you
that
left
man.
him there, go get him.
That's right.
You know where he's at. Go get him.
You know,
Right on.
and we got a lot of dudes out there that you walking your kids into these situations, and you ain't got the sack to say I screwed up and go get them. You just let it keep going on and on and on, and your kids are being indoctrinated and being taught things that you don't really want them to be taught.
Yep.
And part of the issue is you're not taking it serious enough to know. You know, you're not reading the manual, which is called the Bible, to make sure you know that when they come home and they're talking to you about stories they're being taught, are they being taught properly? Are they being told the truth?
Yep.
Is it being sugarcoated? Are they leaving things out? Are they, inputting things that ain't there? I mean, we don't know those things because most people don't ask those questions. They just drop their kids off like daycare and they pick them up.
Yep.
And like you said, that's our future. You know, we really need to be more vested in our own future.
The other part of it too is why are we dependent on the church to teach our kids?
Oh, like the
Ain't that
school
the truth?
system.
Yeah, I mean, when you're a father, isn't it that your responsibility to teach your children?
Yep.
I mean, we want to point fingers, and we can look at all the imperfections of the church, and sometimes I get frustrated with it too. But at the end of the day, the fingers point right back at you. What are you doing? Like we talked about at the beginning. What are you going to do about it? Are you vested? Are you going to groups and learning and getting educated and sharpening your sword so that when you can get around your children, you're teaching them the right way, the right things, or are you just kind of coasting and trying to make mama happy by just showing up?
Those are that should get people thinking. Those are some great questions.
Because when God comes looking, he's looking for Adam. He ain't looking for Eve.
Nope.
John, what did you do? Where are you? Who told you you were naked? Why are you hiding? Well, what happened was, that's Mike's favorite line. What happened was that woman you gave me. That's the funniest part of that story. People miss out on that. Is that the fact that he was blaming God.
Yeah.
He was like, Adam had the stones enough to look at God and blame him. Hey, you gave her to me. It's your fault.
She's defective. Give me a new one.
Yeah, give
start
her
over.
one. Yeah, let's start over.
I mean, we already did animals. Animals didn't work.
Well, they say that Lilith was the first one anyway, right?
Oh, jeez.
You know, I heard actually while we're humoring up a little bit, I heard a really good joke. It said, God said that in every corners of the earth there will be a good submissive wife for every man. And then he made the earth round.
If that ain't it, I don't know, right there, buddy. But it's just, and I'm not trying to beat dudes up, but we got to take some responsibility here. We got to get vested and get some skin in the game. I mean, we just showing up is not enough. You are not doing God a favor by showing up to church.
Well, we know that a lot of men like us need to be kicked in the ass. You got to get that kick. You got to get that dude. Get up.
And you got to be the balls. You got to have enough balls that when it ain't right, you stand up and go, "Hey, that ain't right. That's not what it says."
Right. Exactly.
I think every dude needs a posse. I mean, you've got to find
Absolutely.
a group of guys you can run with, be accountable to, and talk. And it says confess your sins one to another.
Not just a drinking buddy. Somebody who's going to tell you the stuff that you don't want to hear.
Right.
But you need to hear. And the ones who have wisdom, so that when you do have a question, I called John yesterday or the day before. Had a buddy send us a Bible verse and and some verbiage, and I was reading through it, and I was like, it just hit me. I was just like, why then, dude? I don't know why it hit me so hard that day, but it did. But what I do, I called John. I'm like, dude, help me. I'm like, this one's I'm struggling with it. I don't know why. And he had the wisdom.
Well, the thing is too is we get caught up in our culture where we have told men that it's all about being good.
Yep.
Like be a good little boy. We tell kids like, look what we do to boys. Like we emasculate them from like the jump. Yeah. Slow down. Quit running. Don't be roughhousing. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. Behave yourself. be quiet, slow down,
Yeah.
and we strip them of all of their masculinity, and then we stick them in these environments like school and church, and they expect it to be good little boys that don't act up and they don't do this and they don't do that, and then we're taught that as men we got to go in there and dress a certain way, act a certain way, and just make sure that we sit upright and everything looks good and everything looks kosher, and wear that fake smile, and you're just a good little boy.
Yeah.
God's not looking for good little boys.
No, you know what what you don't ever hear is be respectful. That's it. That's really the gist of that really sums everything up. Be respectful. You can roughhouse. You can have a good time.
Just be respectful.
Just be respectful.
Yeah.
Period.
Yep.
It's that simple, because you can still hurt somebody's feelings and be respectful.
Oh yeah.
If you really love somebody, you can respectfully tell them something that's going to hurt their feelings because they need to hear it. It's not being disrespectful, telling them that what you're doing is wrong.
If you're allowing somebody's feelings to dictate whether or not you tell them the truth, that is not being respectful, and that is not loving someone.
No.
That is being a coward.
Yep. Well, that's the
It
fear,
shouldn't.
right?
It should not be. If I see something that, for instance, that Fritz is doing that's going to be detrimental to him or his family or whatever, whether or not he likes it, gets pissed off, or his feelings get hurt, if he comes to me, I have a responsibility as his friend and his brother to tell him the truth, whether he likes it or not. And then he has a choice what he's going to do with that. And he either can look at it like, that Johnny's a real ass, or he can go, you know what, the dude loved me enough to tell me the truth.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, but damn, I didn't like it. But you know what? He's right.
Yeah. And that comes to that goes with the church as well. If the church is doing something or saying something or allowing something that is not biblical, you can respectfully tell them that. The pastor can say he supports the men's group all day long, but doesn't give them any money to help with, guys going to seminars and stuff like that.
Yep.
Do you really? Do you really support the men's group?
That's a good point.
You can talk all day long,
Yep.
but actions are proof why words mean nothing.
Yeah.
And you can address that respectfully. And if they have any balls, they can respectfully explain to you
Why?
the reason why.
Yeah.
Maybe
may
the church
not-
doesn't have the funding. You know what I mean?
Well, they got funding. They got to fund to fund the women's stuff
I know.
and the children's stuff. Why don't they fund the men's
So
stuff?
there you go.
There's no excuse. I mean,
No.
and it's one of these things where you keep hearing all these things, and you get frustrated with the modern American church because of this stuff. And I really think you hit the nail on the head, Ray. I think sometimes it's just easier to have men that are not fully committed and not truly involved, because they show up, they do the bare minimum, and they go home. And there's not combative, there's no pushback, there's no nothing. But
There's no question.
any corporation in America that makes any kind of money has people that push back at each other all day long,
Yep.
because that's how you create greatness.
You gotta fail. Gotta fail.
Friction.
Not everybody's got to figure it out. Your idea is not always the right idea.
Nope.
Truth.
And if you don't like that, then you shouldn't be in a position of authority or leadership.
Right.
So I guess we talk about storming the gates of the church. And I'm not saying that all these churches are bad, or you shouldn't go to church. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you should go to church. I'm saying you should be vested in your church. I'm saying that you should vet your church. You should make sure that you're out there checking and vetting and being involved to make sure that your family is in an environment where they're going to thrive, where they're going to be taught the truth, they're going to be held to the truth, and they're going to be able to flourish and grow from all that spiritually. If you're not vested and you're not involved, you're just checked out, just take them to the daycare. If you ain't got enough in you to check on what they're teaching your children, that's a problem. And if a church has got a problem with a father saying, hey, I'd like to sit in here because I want to see what you guys are teaching the kids, I want to feel comfortable with bringing my kid in here, they should welcome that. They should be like, you know what, I understand that. But they'll play the old safety card. Well, we want the kids to be safe. Well, that's why you have a safety team, and that's why somebody's there to make sure everybody's good. But at the end of the day, we got to vet these churches, and we got to vet these classes, and we got to vet these groups, and it's just like all these people want to make everybody a leader of a group. Not everybody's a leader of a group. I'm sorry, And that's why they changed the term from leader to facilitator. You know? And it's just word semantics. We need men that are going to step up, they're going to get up, they're going to man up, right? We need guys that are going to lead from the front and not from the rear. If you want your church to be better, do something about it. Push back. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to tell you no? Well, that's life. But at the end of the day, you have a responsibility to your family, not just your immediate family, but to your church family to do these things. Get out there, do something, make your voice be heard, do it in a way that's respectful, as we said, but make sure you're doing it, because when you do that, my friends, well, that's where the rubber meets the road.